All right, movie review number two, same day. It is Sunday, February 2nd, 2020. I just shot a movie review of A Marriage Story outside. Even though it's a nice sunny day, the wind really kicked up. So I moved inside the little office area here to shoot my review number two of also 2020 Best Picture nominee, The Irishman, director, the legendary Martin Scorsese. The Irishman stars Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Harvey Keitel. There are lots of stars, lots of recognizable names in The Irishman. And of course, everybody knows Martin Scorsese, who is most popular for gangster movies and just action movies, drama action movies in general. But I think he has received, I don't know, something like 10 Best Director nominations, and he also is up for Best Director for The Irishman this year. First of all, The Irishman is long. It is 3.5 hours long, so it took me 2 sittings. I started watching it on Friday night, and I finished watching it last night, Saturday night. So, very long. Let's see, how do I start this? I used to be a really big mob movie fan, right? Gangster movies. I loved all the Godfather movies, Goodfellas, Casino. When The Sopranos first came out, the series of Sopranos on HBO, I was all about it. My friend Sean Benitez and I would meet up every week to binge watch episodes of The Sopranos. So I'm a big mafia movie fan. Maybe not so much as I used to be, but I do really like the genre. And Scorsese does it very well, right? And The Irishman is based on true events, true stories, true events about Frank Sheeran, who was an Irish mobster, his friendship with Jimmy Hoffa. As you guys know, Jimmy Hoffa, that Teamster union boss who disappeared many years ago and whose body was never found. So let's break this down a little bit. First of all, the acting was superb, right? We have Al Pacino, we have Robert De Niro. These used to be my two favorite actors for like my first, I don't know, 20, 25 years of life. I love them. I even used to have a little bit of a crush on Robert De Niro back in the day. So, great acting across the board. No, that's a no-brainer. However, I have a few issues with The Irishman. I had higher hopes for it, but I have a few issues with the way some things were done. Number one, this is a Martin Scorsese movie, right? So the budget, there is no budget, probably, right? This guy's probably one of the most successful directors ever. And I found it a little bit odd that they didn't use different actors to portray the characters in their younger years. When, especially the main character, Frank Sheeran, who is the Irishman, right? The titular character, or titular character, however you want to pronounce it. I mean, Robert De Niro is pretty long in the tooth now. He's pretty old. He's probably 70, if not over 70. So to just dye his hair dark brown and pass him off as a younger man was not a good choice, in my opinion. You're Martin Scorsese. You can afford to get another actor to play Frank Sheeran's character as a younger man. So that was a little odd. And then to have the Joe Pesci character, referred to him as kid, and, just because the Frank Sheeran has dark hair, I mean, Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro are probably the same age, and they look the same age, even if Robert De Niro's hair is dyed brown. So that was just a little weird starting out for me. I was like, oh, this is strange. And then, even though Robert De Niro is a great actor, was he the best actor to play Frank Sheeran and Irishman? Well, I've seen Robert De Niro in many different roles, but the roles that particularly stand out to me are gangster-related roles, right, for Robert De Niro, for me. And he's always an Italian or an Italian American in those movies, and I think in real life he's of Italian descent as well. And to me, and I know, not to be, I'm not stereotyping or anything, but Italian males, and especially as portrayed by Hollywood, usually have certain features, right? They have like prominent noses, dark hair, dark eyes, and you just kind of have that little stereotypical, I don't know, swag or, about them. And trying to pass Robert De Niro off as an Irishman was it was a hard sell for me, even with the blue contacts. I didn't buy it. I thought maybe a different actor would have been better to portray an Irishman. But Robert De Niro is a great actor. In the end, he pulled it off. But for me, having seen him in many roles and being very familiar with him as an actor and being very familiar with probably all of his roles, I know he's done many other, Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, many other roles besides mafia-related movie roles, but it was a really hard sell for me. And then something else that kind of bothered me in the movie is, and by the way, Pacino's depiction of Jimmy Hoffa was brilliant. I mean, I didn't know Jimmy Hoffa in real life, so I don't know how he was, but I mean, I've seen images of him and footage of him, and Pacino just always takes everything to, like, this is a good level, and he always bumps it up a notch. And to me, he was the most interesting character and the most interesting portrayal in the movie. Really loved him. He still nailed it. He still got it. God, he's a great actor. It's just, it gives me chills. He's such a great actor. But I was always under the impression that Jimmy Hoffa was Italian-American as well. But in the movie, Jimmy Hoffa kept talking in a derogatory manner about Italians and calling people wops and they're all named Tony. And so I was a little bit confused, and I'm like, oh, well, was Hoffa Irish? I mean, him and Frank were really good friends. Like, what are they trying to say? So I meant to actually Google that before I did this review, because that just really confused me, because the name Hoffa sounds like it would be an Italian name to me. So I was a little bit confused why Jimmy Hoffa would be talking so negatively about Italians, because I thought he was also Italian. Maybe it was a class difference thing. Maybe he was just saying like they were lower than him, even though they were all Italian. I don't know. If you know, feel free to comment on this video that you know. So that was a little odd to me as well. But I really like that the story was told from the point of view of Frank Sheeran, right? From one character, which we don't see a lot of in some of the mobster movies. I mean, we have definitely seen that in some of the Godfathers and things like that. But this was good. A mobster movie based on true events and true people to be told in a first-person way was sort of refreshing to me, and I really enjoyed that. It was, again, I don't know how close the ages match to when these events happen to the real-life people, but the cast of this movie, they're really old. Right? I mean, they're old. They're old guys, and nothing against. I'll be 50 this year. I'm not being ageist or anything, but wow, to see Robert De Niro as Frank Sheeran, running around being like a hitman and getting away and being, he was moving a little stiffly to me. He looked and moved like an older man. So again, a little bit of a hard sell for me, but maybe that's really how it is in the mob. Even though you're like 65 and should be retired, if you're a hitman and they need you to do a hit, you still have to go. Use your cane if you have to, perhaps. But I really did enjoy seeing the aging process depicted in the movie as well. I mean, because they did, in the end, make Frank Sheeran, look older than Robert De Niro is in real life, and to see him in a nursing home and all of that was really interesting, because most of the time I think the lifespan of mobsters who are really active in the organization, they probably don't make it to the nursing home. Another nuance was just the Frank Sheeran's family life, and he had like 4 daughters, I believe, and one of his daughters played by, I'm blanking on her name. Man, I really have to get better at doing my research on names when there's an ensemble cast in movies. But she played in the child in the piano when she was younger in the movie, the piano. But anyway, she did a really good job as the daughter that the movie focused on the most, and you could tell that she kind of knew what was going on with her father. She wanted to be close to him at first when she was younger, because who doesn't? But then she was really perceptive and figured out that he was doing some not so nice things, And in the end, she ended up cutting off contact with him, and I guess that happened in real life since this is based on real events. And it was kind of sad to see him in his later years try to mend fences with her, and her just like, nope, I'm not having it. And because of one incident in particular, and again, I'm not, no spoiler alerts here on Real Talk with Daphne, but that was a refreshing little aside or subplot to the movie that I really enjoyed seeing that play out as well. There were some comedic parts in the movie, where you laugh. And again, Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa is funny. He's humorous, but also just it's a little bit sad. And as events fold out, you're pulling for him, even though you know the story and that he's going to disappear, right? Because he's Jimmy Hoffa. That's not a spoiler. Everybody knows that. But I missed him when he was gone. So he's definitely the best thing about this movie, and I really do hope he gets an award because he really killed it. So overall, The Irishman did not live up to my expectations. I give it a 3 out of 5 stars, but it was definitely a good movie. Worthy of Best Pick nomination? I don't think so. Not for 2019. I think there were better movies out there, and I think the Academy's track record now of nominating so many, 9 and 10, and I think one year there were like 12 nominees for Best Picture is getting a little bit out of hand. I really think every year it could be 5 or 6, and that would be fine. And so I think some of these are filler movies, and that's fine, or just, shout out. So like, oh, it's Martin Scorsese, and it's got all these stars in it. Sure, we're going to nominate it for Best Picture, but was it really one of the best pictures of 2019? Not in my opinion, but 3 stars is not bad. It's like right there in the middle, a little bit higher than the middle. So now all I have left to watch is Jojo Rabbit, Ford versus Ferrari, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I have 3 movies to watch before the Oscars air next Sunday, February 9th. I know you guys will be watching. I will. And I have faith that I can get those 2 movies watched this week, even though things have been a little bit crazy. This has been Real Talk with Daphne. See you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.